give us their recommendation of a yay or a nay, since from their professional opinion as far as being police officers.
And like you said, we have a relationship with one county. Relationship with Orlando Police Chief. If you know anybody, if you know these people personally, mayor, you talk to people like that. Why? On your own, not give it to somebody else. Just do your own work and say, hey, I talked to someone, so this gave me the recommendation about that. Or and that's how we do it. That's how it is in sport. We just say, well, we can afford this. They come at us. They put 2 people in the department to do it. And then I want to do it in-house. For the job. You know, not the job. So we recommend the mayor and the jobs I recommend this person, they want the chief job. We in the room as we're supposed to do other people, you know, in the conference room.
I think that we hear what you're saying, and we as a board, we understand. But if we can find a happy medium, let's turn the corner. Let's turn the corner. Let's find a happy medium that makes everybody happy. We ought to find a sense of Councilman Washington. We do know that if we can get someone else, you know, another professional to just interview this guy, or just like Councilwoman Randolph said, just a little, you know, presentation, or just, you know, some questions. It's just for our benefit, just an extra icing on the cake. It can't hurt. Do you agree? We ought to find a say so. You said that yourself. And when we do our due diligence and everything, then we'll come to the same conclusion. Either we're for him or against him. You agree?
No, because I don't want to take somebody's opinion and put it.
It's not. Is there?
You take other people's opinion from what they say, so you do it yourself.
Is there professional opinion, Council?
I'm saying you just take somebody's opinion. What your opinion yourself. Just do it yourself. If you don't like the person, you don't want the person, that's your opinion. And you go back and do background check or have his resume or his or her resume. So you go over there.
Council, I'll give you one example. I think you were on the board when this happened. Remember when we had that CAO apply for our position, for position of CAO for the town? Remember that? Which one? The one that said her position was a CAO, and we were so excited because we saw her resume and saw that, oh my gosh, we getting a CAO from the city of Daytona Beach. We were excited. It was like, hey, unanimous, boom, she's in. Then we found out that the city of Daytona Beach named all their department head CAOs. Then we found out that we got a department head and not a CAO. But we did our due diligence.
No, I want part of it. That's what you talk about, but I want part of it.
You was on the board?
No,
you sure? Okay, all right. But that's what I'm saying. Like if we had a board or someone in that field that said, you know, well, you do know that the department heads are called CAOs and not their actual CAOs. It's just extra icing on the cake, Councilman. That's
why I think that board can do their homework, and you knew that she was a project manager, or she was just a pusher, a paper pusher.
The resume,
I mean, yeah,
it was nice.
But that's what they do. Right? You make it can't be free, but I do think resume was nice. Yeah, it'd be free. But sometimes they don't take that.
I think that if we just, you know, we work together, we can make it happen.
Yeah, well, we already had this. I don't think I think I do that to go to way out the goal of the first.
In where you expect to get no, I mean the candidates that you normally the way this process works, and most of you all in the
what normally happens is that there is a selection board. I remember, I believe two proposals for the town. I was working to go forward. Along with two other officials. They were not coming. Okay? We wanted transparency. Where the process first is that the board doesn't make the decision as to who gets the job. That will be the mayor's responsibility. The board will recommend if you interview you want to make sure that you get three people, you will up to three people, you need five. So ranking order is how the board ranks these people. The mayor will interview those persons who was ranked by the interview board for the job. And that will be the decision of how the process is. That's usually how it works in a lot of places. So that gives you a little bit of that because all of us have large personal experience. You may not know the right questions you ask. You will interview professional people who are coming from different backgrounds, all over law enforcement who have been taught. So I'm not an expert, but as a citizen, I represent the citizen on the board. So I make questions pertaining to interest of the citizen for the county. So I'm just wanting to do a estimate. If the town doesn't want to do it, that's what it is. But I think we will add more merit to making sure that we have qualified people who's going to administrate law enforcement during the time.
The mayor. You said, no, it's not the same. You said the mayor. You did go with it. I have to agree with council.
Well, this is the we want to discuss.
I'm just saying,
Now, the way we want to do this, that will be the council city. That will be the most good. This is the part of the discussion.
They're in that situation.
okay, I don't, we got a big issue about police. I haven't heard that. I haven't seen that issue. We have an issue about hiring the mayor and the board. Bring them in. That issue. That issue with the board. I know the audience have, but thank you. To the board, that issue about who the mayor brings up to be the police. And that's what it's saying. I think it's not an issue about who comes to the police. That's what I mean. We want to win now. I didn't know we had an issue about that.
Is there a candidate right now?
I'm just saying. Yeah. I mean,
I'm asking that. Is there a candidate right now?
I do have someone.
Can you explain the selection process as it currently stands right now? How does the process go? Maybe that'll get some clarity to the residents as well as the board.
First, show that they're interested, so you know. Just would not be qualified or just wouldn't be the best fit. The best fit. And for the record, a resolution, if you want to do something that you think is a better way, I'm not considering the same. My question was, where are you getting it from? Because it seems that if you interview 15 people, you take people's time to interview candidates. And then based on your scoring system, you send 3 to the mayor to review. And I'm not interested, you just wasted people's time. It just seems to me that the current process of me reading out according to what I would like to do. Maybe I read out, say my top 3 choices, then I send it to your, then you get an oral review. Then it's based on those candidates that I don't see. I see that working better than if you send someone that is.
So when you get it.
We advertise. The word of mouth. Where the town is usually advertised.
Okay, so that's
The same kid. We're saying the same thing, but I'm starting on the side and the position of mayor. And then based on who I would like for you to entertain, then that too, the board will review. Otherwise, people may just be wasting
But Mayor, let's be perfectly honest, that's not how the way it's been going. I know the candidates that's been coming in, that you all have been interviewing, and you haven't used a 3-person process to do that. You haven't used the finance manager, the interim CAO, and public works that way that had some people to do that. So, I mean,
That's always the place to start.
I'm just saying,
We talk about administrative stuff. Is that what we, what is that, so they get in front of us? Make a decision.
They know the town, know the town.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm like, well, we talking about administrative items.
one thing I'm saying
It's
is,
not in the charts that we hire police chief that we, it's the criteria.
we just confirmed, correct? That's right, we just confirmed. And the only thing I'm saying is, does the people that's doing the qualifications, are they qualified? They're looking, I'm looking at the job description right now. And for us to have a police chief that we're trying to hire, we got a 1.5-page document. When in some municipalities, you got 4 pages just for recreation. I don't know, we actually put great detail into determining if we have a qualified value candidate for that. So just something to look at. I'll get a discussion.
The discussion of the waste management service agreement was on here because we were expecting Representative Eatonville, but however, they prefer to be when the candidates have their one-on-one conversations first before they present to the council. Like the last meeting, that was something that was that they wanted to really talk to.
I don't think they should dictate to us if we provide a service. They need to come in and present to the whole board and the whole community. I mean, why do they need to meet with us individually?
Whether they meet with us beforehand and then present, or whether they present then meet with us.
So,
The two together, I think, would still make a stronger conversation.
so the question I asked last time, what is the scope of work that we expect to get from them? Do we have that prepared yet?
If you look at the contract itself, that pretty much is the scope of work.
So we said we're gonna stay with the same scope of work they've been giving us for the last 3 years since 2018.
You asked me for a scope of work. A good starting place for a scope of work is a contract that we already have that breaks down all of the elements of waste management. So
Go ahead.
So I hear you, but if you go back to my conversation, we are like a year out And the conversation was to get an advisory board, which I've already started, that will go through this contract, look at other contracts that are out there in other municipalities, and then bring information back. So you're kind of saying what I've said.
So, right, so I'm saying that staff, what a staff recommendation. So before I go sit down and have a conversation with them, staff should already give me some recommendations so I can have talking points from me sitting down and talking to them. So what are those talking points?
I hear you, but you just said that our staff may not be qualified even for the,
Man,
no. You just stated that those same staff who will give you recommendations may not be qualified to sit down and do the screening process for the chief of police. And if you look at this contract, it's just as detailed as the items for the job description for a chief of police. What I am saying is, it seems to me that the talking points would come from the people. What complaints have there been in the town? Which is one of the reasons why I asked Mr. Jenkins to head the advisory board, because if you've spoken with Mr. Jenkins, he always has a recommendation for it being done better. So when you start with talking points, I think his would be one. The second would be the talking points that you, as you review the contract, you can have your own list of talking points.
How about we start with residents? How about we send a survey out to the residents and ask them what concerns they have with the company? Normally, when you're trying to do a benchmark, you will start with a survey, get a baseline of where you need to go and go to school.
I don't know why we are.
I mean, this contract is, it's very detailed, but they given us the service that we're in.
Okay.
And we put a questionnaire in the water bill, I understand the same too. Put a questionnaire, instead of going out, put a questionnaire on the set, how they like the garbage service of the town.
So
That's something we can do, I'll support something like that.
And that's something that an advisory board can come, they may have even other suggestions.
I have an issue that spillage, what is, we don't like about this, with this company, what we don't like. It's like, so we are providing service with a contract of dump the trash, and of course, we don't like the dumpsters, recycling being left in the road. That's the issue we have.
right.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
So last time, and I think you helped me prove my point again, but and I'm not even looking at it right now. I think one of the pages they talked about prescription drug turning, right? 2 shredding events, hard waste of tires and all that kind of stuff. How we maximize that? No, that's what the contract says. Look, no, read the contract. The contract says. So.
You are right, but that's not the, but we're not arguing how we utilize this contract to the fullest or not. But what we are saying, because I would agree with you, there are elements in this contract we have not utilized. Former Councilman Mack would utilize the community yard cleanup, community cleanup. That was utilized. So I agree with you. I'm not arguing that point. The point for either putting it before you this early is because we have to tell them like 3 months prior if we're going to proceed with it. So you go ahead and start getting the advisory board together now so they can review this contract and other contracts. That's all. That's the only reason it's here.
You can't do that with that. You gotta look at the scope of work first. You gotta look at the scope of work or what's expected.
The scope of work was performance. Performance of the doing. The scope of the performance.
So do we know what we expect now?
In the contract that we expect.
Do we know what we're expecting from them?
Whatever the contract say, they still be followed.
We're saying the same thing.
Right.
So we're saying we're gonna stay with the same company. That's what you're saying?
No.
We say that.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. Have you looked at the contract entirely?
I looked at that.
Entirely.
Man,
Entirely, yes or no? If you have not looked at it entirely, then you have not seen the scope of work sitting in front of you. If you want that scope of work to be adjusted, then the best place for me to think to go is other contracts and compare. And then also think about what some of the issues have been in our town, because it needs to fit what our needs are. Some things in this contract, we may not need. Then let's look at what is better in other contracts and supplement. So if that means we then have a new scope of work, and some of it just simply maybe need to be updated. You know, so
So
I'm not-
have you looked at the entire plan?
absolutely not. That's why we're an advisory board, and that's why we're starting early, but it's not here to
Thank you for your
argue
time.
that over that.
So, how much are they giving us right now on 14? Okay, no, 5,000. But, so that's what I'm saying, that's stuff that our staff should have done for us. We shouldn't have to go through and try to break down an 18, 20-page document. It should be go ahead and broke down to bullet points, pros, cons, benchmark, SWOT analysis on the strength, weak opportunity threats, and we go from there.
But that's on negotiation for the contract. You want 10,000, that's negotiation.
I mean, all of this, we went to an MLK donation.
No, I'm just saying the purpose of looking all the way through the contract and seeing different things that we're not taking advantage of. That's all I'm saying.
But
So,
because the
I
contract
rest.
is so
I
big,
rest.
that's why I brought it to you early, so we can start the process of reviewing it page by page, section by section, and getting input that's headed by a citizen that has a background in this.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. With that being said, I move for adjournment of the workshop at 6:57. Moving second, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? All right, so we are adjourned till 7.
Okay. You guys don't want us to know what's going over?
It was only 15. But you know, like I was saying, I don't mind looking for it, but you know, if you go on the first page, I have a and I'm into this circle. Well, the good thing about something for a while is that even if I send it ordinance that has the contact, they still have to, they call it the ordinance, where they still put it on. To get that girl to copy. It's like,
Yeah.
it is, but not put into the book. But the one online.
You believe that from here.
While you're waiting, I do remind you that if you want to speak, make sure that you fill out the card or the public participation sheet and give it to Mrs. King. We have about 3 minutes. If you would take this moment to please put your phones on vibrate or silence, it would be appreciated. It is currently 7:30. It is November 15, 2022, Tuesday, and we are opening up for the Historic Town of Eatonville regular council meeting. Please stand. Oh, I'm sorry. Mrs. Stevens, do you have?
Yes, I have.
Please stand with the invocation and pledge allegiance.
Father God, we thank you for the opportunity. Lord, School of God, representative, thank you again for the field that take us in the there are those that work in this community. God, we thank you for the decision that we know this year. Rather, continue with us each of us, with God, continue with us, respect each other's personalities, whether it's part of now council meeting, God, we come to be public educated and not be able to think the welfare of this hour. Thank you for what you're doing in the first community. We give you all the praise, glory, and honor for it. That you listen to Jesus.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. So can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Move, is there a second?
Discussion.
Second.
On the consent agenda, item number 5 is moved down to council decision.
Councilman Marlon Daniels, after item 5, to move to council decision. Yes. With there being no other adjustments, motion that the agenda is approved with that adjustment. So it's second.
You need a second because it's repeated.
So it's been moved in second, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? Presentations and recognition, proclamation, data chapter. This is
Good evening. We have some wonderful members of our community with us today. And the Omega Beta Beta chapter, Omega Psi Phi fraternity. Proclamation from the office of the mayor. County of Eatonville, Florida, recognized international achievement in support of the Omega Beta Beta chapter, Omega Psi Phi fraternity. Whereas on Thursday, November the 17th, 2022, Omega Psi Phi fraternity will celebrate its founding day. Omega Psi Phi fraternity was founded on the campus of Howard University on November the 17th, 1911. The continued legacy of 3 Howard University undergraduates, Edgar Amos Love, Oscar James Cooper, and Frank Cole, and their faculty advisor, Dr. Ernest Everett Judd. Whereas Omega Psi Phi fraternity believes that college-educated men of similar ideas of fellowship should bind themselves together in order to form a more perfect union, promoting the principles of manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. After 111 years, the Omega Psi Phi fraternity incorporated still stands strong on their promise. Friendship is essential to the soul. Over 39 years, the Brothers of Omega Beta Beta chapter have been able to accomplish its goals through service initiatives that includes mentoring, clothing and food drives, self-awareness, voter outreach, back-to-school giveaways, and feeding the homeless. Specific to the historic town of Eatonville, the Omega Beta Beta chapter is active with mentoring at Humber Elementary and has volunteered at many events such as Thanksgiving giveaway, the Eatonville Memorial Garden Beautification Project, also doing the annual Martin Luther King Parade. Whereas the town of Eatonville and its elected officials recognize international achievement, a mandated program of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, designed to promote the study of African American life and history. Achievement Week is celebrated in over 700 Omega Psi Phi chapters worldwide. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Eatonville, Orange County, Florida, along with Mayor Andy Gardner, Vice Mayor Rodney Daniels, council members Theo Washington, Marlon Daniels, Rhonda Randolph, during the week of November the 13th through November the 19th, recognize Achievement Week for the Omega Beta Beta chapter of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and called the seal of the town of Eatonville, Florida, to be affixed this 15th day of November 2022. Andy Gardner, Mayor. Let's receive our faithful community members. If you want to come forward.
Good evening. On behalf of Omega Beta Beta chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, we are honored to receive this proclamation from the township of Eatonville, the mayor, with
That's Andy Gardner.
Andy Gardner, I'm sorry. Yes, Eatonville is our home. We were founded and chartered here in 1983, and we see continued partnership with Council of Eatonville. Right here, it's got the next years, my administration. I'm the boss of the chapter, first chapter right now. My vice boss is Mr. Andrew Powell, Mr. Anthony Scott, and Mr. Owen Brown. Thank you.
Like, get a picture? I'll make sure I send a picture to you. Thank you. That concludes our presentation.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, citizen of participation. Citizen participation.
Our first benefit will be Ryan Novick.
Good evening, everyone. Ryan Novak, residents. I want to start by addressing my fellow residents with something that I believe we all know, but I just want to sort of reinforce, is that our trustees of the town, our council that we've elected, this is not their full-time job. So understand that they're not on this clock 24/7. And we should consider that a little bit in some of the things that happen, some of the timeliness, maybe their responses. Not to take away from the many, many hours that they do dedicate even outside of their other lives and other jobs, but understand, it is not their full-time job. It is, however, the full-time job of the CAO to be the manager of the town when these guys can't always be on, can't answer an email promptly or run to a broken pipeline. So a CAO is desperately needed for this town, which brings me to our trustees, the people that we have elected to be in this position. What we would like to see from you guys, though, is what we've elected you to do, which is make decisions for the town. Make decisions that are going to help advance the town in the right direction, because we are all here, and we're all in this together, each and every one of us, to create the township that I know that we have. So what we would like to see from each and every one of you is exactly that, to make the decisions that we trust you to make. Nothing should die for a lack of second. That is a way of not making a decision. Each and every time that there is something to vote on, a vote, whether it's yes or no, should get a motion, should get a second, and should get a vote. And if that vote is a no, so be it. That's what we elected you to do, is exactly that. Make those choices for all of us. Make those choices on our behalf. Additionally, when you guys don't say anything, we don't know if no response is a yes vote or if it really is just an abstention, but please vocalize what you're voting for when you are making these decisions. So that's what we'd like to see from you guys, because we trust you to make the right choices for us. Whether it's yes, whether it's no, please make those choices. Thank you.
Okay, we have Brandon McLean.
Everyone, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. My name is Brandon McLean, and I'm the president and founder of the Global Foundation. We're a veterans nonprofit organization designed to provide transitional background services to veterans as well as the underserved. We also represent the executive team for the Mayo Corporation. We're a mobile banking financial services platform that's both an enhancement as well as a peer-to-peer solution that allows people to sit all over the world. The reason we're here is because we live in a student here in the church and community. We would like to extend our resources service to the town. We have a list of short-term goals and long-term goals that we'd like to propose to you guys. And then every ability to do it. Short-term goals are provide community resources to Eatonville residents and veterans resources to its veteran population. Establish banking relations with the credit union and expand services to its client base. Begin discussions to potentially get headquarters. The long-term goal is to establish as a corporate headquarters to allow that. And create monetary investments through corporate and social impact channels to give back to businesses and reinvest into residents in this community.
We have Mr. George Reed.
Were required as a concerned citizen. And we were looking to find out what are you putting down here on Kennedy in that land that you were cultivating right now. I am on one of the committees, the planning and zoning, and I know what it is. Last I knew, I thought, when I heard enclave, I thought enclave was a late Western property. Last I knew that we was discussing it, the next thing I knew, we were building out. Now we understand that that's not the enclave project. The project they're cultivating the land now is the enclave. So I would like to know, what are they planning to put there? We want to set everything on top of it, but we never think about what goes under there. We haven't had an engineer or whatever. We have enough sewer problem, water problem, and we can't stand to put anything else. Matter of fact, we haven't even had an engineer to talk about the hunger problem. So that is a great thought about what we're going to do about that problem. And I hope somebody will give me an answer on what they plan to put out.
And we have Crystal Wood. What I'd like to know is, every week or, that meeting, we just discuss three things and we never find out whatever happened from the previous meeting. So my concern is, I need an update on Tommy Dixon's house, that he said that since he owns his house, he has problems, and we were gonna go in and fix that. I haven't heard about the town going to fix it or repairing his house at all. And we've had 2 storms since he's been here. And I want to know about the impact fees. Is
there any discussion on any impact fees, like, George said? We see construction going on, we don't know what's going on. And all these companies coming in here building, but there's still no impact fees. We're still not generating any money from any impact fees, and nobody ever goes back to talk about that stuff. And the last council meeting, we found out that the old hospital building, the first special zoning was never approved. So what happens? If they went on to do what they wanted to do with the building when it was never approved, then so was that grandfathered in, or was that done illegally, or what happened? It's like we sweep things under the rug and we never get back to them, and the citizens never know what happened. So I'm a little confused. What happened? He was asking for a second clearance, zoning. That was denied. We found out from that meeting that the first one was never approved. You saw where he put in the application. You saw where he did everything that he was supposed to do, but you didn't find out, you found out that there was no vote. It was never approved. So how was he able to proceed with that project? When he was allowed to put the first 100 cars on that lot. So y'all are gonna be like, y'all don't know either. So if y'all don't know, how we gonna know? I'm just confused. And then I think the citizens are confused because there's all these meetings going on about the Hungerford property. None of the meetings are done as a whole, as a town, as one. We got separate people holding these secret meetings, and that shouldn't be done. Nobody gets invited to these meetings. You just have to hear about the meetings. You just have to show up at the meeting, you know? And we're never gonna get anywhere as a town if we don't come together. We're never gonna get anywhere if we don't come together and vote on things, and you don't let the citizens know what's going on in this town. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Nick from Michelle Ford. Good evening, council and residents. I just have a couple of questions. Listening to every resident and the spoken message. The council meeting, we're here for the resident. You know, when you look at every municipality, we have the mayor, we have a chief administrative officer. Their job is to day-to-day operations. We don't expect this to be. People are elected to do a job that is within, under the people. You work for us. So when we come to bring something to the council, it should be addressed. When you look at a corporation, you have the president, you have a chief financial officer, or you have a chief administrator. And they bring the day-to-day operation. When you have a board, you have individuals who have to respond. Now I see that we have on this agenda, Randy said, and I'm gonna tell you this, resident, this individual is more than qualified. Do you know it's an honor to have him come to this town? This man has worked for Orange County for over 20 years as the county administrator, and before he retired as deputy county administrator. He was right there with Byron Wood. He knows how to run a budget. He knows how to get the grants. He has sat on so many councils for tourism, the transportation. He can get Eatonville where it needs to be. He could be at those meetings to let the citizens know what we are doing. Progress is moving forward. Not seconding the vote, that's not progress. Having meetings in the residents don't know, that is not progress. This council is not making progress. And it falls on every individual. Because you're not making progress, we're not making progress. The town is not gonna make progress. If you are not collecting impact fees, you're preventing revenue from the council, from the town. We're all being impacted by decisions that are not being collected. Moving the money from a line because for whatever reason, it should not justify. What organization runs without a chief administrator office? It's like going to McDonald's. Don't you always see a manager there? Somebody is there in charge for a daily basis. You won't see the franchise owner, but you will see a manager. You will see someone just doing day-to-day operations. And that's what we expect here from everyone to make a decision. And not to sit there and pass the buck. For the past 2-3 years, Eatonville has been left behind. We need someone to know what they're doing and someone who's qualified. Thank you.
And we have Anthony Grant.
Definitely, Mayor, now, just a couple of observations. Randolph alluded to the process of police chief. And when I saw the workshop, it seemed like the council, the legislative and administrative kind of blowing the lines. Legislative would be administrators, and that's prohibited in the charter. And council, we talked about the reform here, the legal process, was a different charter. That's when the council had the authority to make a recommendation for the appointee. On this charter, only the mayor can make the recommendation. Council. So if the mayor sets that interview process, only the mayor should be able to set that interview process and clearly define what that is. And then I heard a couple of residents say, well, you should always set a motion. That's not necessarily true. If a motion fails for lack of second, then that's the indication that the mayor is not supporting. So that's enough. And then I heard people talk about impact fees. I used to wonder about those impact fees too myself, but the more I looked at it, our millage is 7 million. 7 million, we have the highest millage in Orange County. And you look at Maitland at 3 million. So how do you attract a corporation to come build $100 million development when you've got a property value of 7 million and you're charging them a double whammy with impact? One has to give to support the other. You can't have it both ways. You can scare off development with impact fees, potential impact fees, when you have a high minimum. So when the developer would say, well, let me go to the municipality with this 3 million, I've got that over the next 30 years. So I'm going to save a substantial amount of money over the long term if I go to sit at one park versus go to Eatonville, because they're going to hit me with high military, and they're going to hit me with a couple $300,000, $400,000 impact fee. So you got to be very careful on the transition. You try to educate yourself when you're talking about creating economic development in a sense. But again, it is frustrating sitting out there. I don't come to council meetings. And I should. But it's frustrating because you sit there and you spend 20 minutes on nothing. And then we circle the wagon, it's still nothing. And I'm like, where are we going with this? We want to ask a question because they feel that everyone's intelligent and the other, and everybody's challenging everybody. At some point, I agree. We got to do this. So, anyway.
Thank you.
We have no more.
Citizen participation section is closed. The next item is the consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda is removed. Is there a second? It's removed. A second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The consent agenda is approved. And that's with items 5 down. Council decisions, approval of resolution 2022-65, transferring CAO salary from contingency to CAO salary line. You need to read that, Mr. King?
Resolution of the Town Council of the Historic Town of Eatonville, Florida, authorizing the Town Council to transfer Chief Administrative Officer from the contingency account to the Chief Administrative Officer account, providing for conflict, severability, and effective date.
Motion on the floor to approve resolution 2022-65. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Discussion.
It's been moved in second. Councilman Daniels.
Mayor, can you have, Ms. Gibson come to the podium?
Did you ask me a question?
Okay. What did you get 125 from?
So 125 is approve the job description, approve this position from 80 to 125.
What was approved in the budget?
And in the budget, when the budget was approved, it was stated that 85.5 was moved to contingency.
So remove 85.5, how did you come up with 125?
Because if you take the 85.5 plus what's already in the contingency, 125,000, there is enough to move the contingency to the CEO salary.
No, that's not.
Why is that not?
So to remove it out of contingency, 85.5, how did you come up with that?
Because when you went through the budget process, if you remember, there were some positions that the town council did not approve. So that money went into contingency.
So whenever money goes in contingency, then it's what?
If it's not allocated to any specific thing, it's there. So for instance, you did not approve the internal auditor position. That was $50,000. When you did not approve the internal auditor, that money went to contingency. It wasn't allocated for any other purpose. So if you look at the 50,000 plus the 85,000 right there, that would be,
That automatically gives us the right to put 125 in the line item. Yeah,
it's on the agenda to be approved by council. It's not automatic. It's in front of you for approval.
So we have before us that for the regular salary, it's 125 into contingency. And since this is another item that's on there, and then you're talking about possibly up to 25,000 per quarter, where's that money coming from? So how would you move that?
That's not really money that's moved. That's money that will be earned. It's incentive.
How is it going to pay? What line item?
Let me explain it first, because I may not be able to tell you what the line item number will be. Whenever grants are done, with certain grants, there are administrative fee costs that are allowed. And I've mentioned this before. So for instance, if it's $1 million grant and it's a 15%, forgive me if my numbers are off. If it's a 15% administrative fee, then and if there are 4 installment payments, each installment payment will have a 15% attached to it. That money can then go into a special account. And then, so when you think about the quarterly payments of the incentive, that's where that money will come from. It's not coming from our ad valorem taxes or the revenues. It's coming from money that you get what you pay for. So if you bring in these grants, then you benefit from it. That's where the money is coming from. It's from future revenues from grant administrative costs.
So what's the total amount of grants we got?
If we talk about the grants of the monies that are sitting in our account, the only grants right now would be the green, the lift station. That's like 665,000. I can't tell you what the administrative fee would be on that. But then to go back, even it doesn't start right away. So even with the 5.9 coming down the pipe, you're talking maybe 258,000 over 3 years. So, but that money is not in our account.
which is reimbursable at having the same copy. So we're talking about futures, right?
Right, and so that would all have to be understood.
To be understood by, if you sign last, attorney, has any kind of agreement, in payment agreement towards this? This moving the salary line item and hiring of a CL?
I'm not aware of any written agreement. Maybe like the last time.
So is there any statutory requirements dealing with giving of bonuses, as you say?
If you're giving somebody bonuses, there has to be a written agreement. Or that. It depends on it, but it has to be a written agreement. Or it could be a written policy of there's a general policy that's available. It could be a written policy.
You have other questions? And so it has been moved in second to, for resolution 2022-65. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Ms. Carter. Wait, this is for the moving of the money. The moving, that's all. Item number 6, approval of resolution 2022-64, confirming Randy Sue as chief administrative officer.
Resolution 2022-64, a resolution of the town council of the historic town of Eatonville, affirming a chief administrative officer and allowing for an incentive-based component to the compensation, providing for conflict, severability, and effectiveness.
The motion is now on the floor for approval of resolution 2022-64. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second discussion.
Councilman Dennis.
Attorney, can you explain what you say in the shall should be?
So you're referring to the part of the charter that says that the town council shall confirm the appointment.
Correct.
Myself and Mr. Shepherd have read that too. It doesn't require the council to approve the person. The mayor puts forward the CAO. It doesn't require the town council to approve. That is, the answer of yes is not required. You have a decision. But similarly to like an appointment of a president or the judge who submits for confirmation to the Senate, the appointment proposal is on the floor of the mayor draws it, and the council is required to take action. My understanding is that at the last meeting, there was a motion that died and that was taken. Therefore, the nomination wasn't completed. And in our reading, the town council was required to take some action, either to deny the appointment nomination or confirm.
Okay. Section 3 of the resolution, you have it in front of you, Attorney?
I can-
And why you pulling it up? Did you all prepare this resolution?
I personally did not. I'm not sure if it's a separate date.
Yeah, they don't have this in test. Normally, it means checking. So
So I did prepare it, but I did send it over to finish up this office. And they just made technical changes. So it's my fault that the lines. I could bring a resolution. Cheap.
But if the church is doing a resolution, you got to be somebody.
No, it's pretty standard for us to both prepare resolutions and pass staff prepare resolutions.
Turn in.
We can even read our own resolutions, that's fine.
That's what I'm saying. But that can pass the always, that always. That's something.
You pull it up, right?
I have it in front of me.
You got a question?
So we talking about $25,000 for addition and then you get funded in a 6-month probation period. Right, so our probation period is 6 months or is it 90 days? Which one is per policy?
Occupation.
This is, what do you mean, because the personnel manual has a 90-day probation period?
Yes.
So to me, the question is whether or not the CAO is subject to the personnel manual charter officer. And also it may be that the probation period is 90 days, but 6 months is the probation period for those. So I would want to confirm this reading, but I believe that we previously discussed the charter officers may not be subject to the personnel manual. We're in conflict with the charter. But I would say that the bonuses, the probation period for bonuses for the last 6 months, but 90 days for general. 90 days for general discipline.
And then last part, funds we transfer each year from proceeds of grants, administration fee payments. So if there's no grants, there's no payment. Correct?
That would be my reading.
Which makes a conflict in, right?
Make a conflict in what?
That the merit, so we're saying that's where the funds are coming from, correct?
Right, from credit fund, from administration.
So how are you covering that for the 25,000?
Well, we just said it's not gonna start right away.
But we only have one grant in the pocket right now, which you won't allow Ms. Gibson to come up at 600, right?
Yeah, but if the agreement is that the bonus comes from grants, and if no grants have come in, then there's no bonus payout. I'm not, that's not even anything I'm fighting about. That's one of the reasons that is even there, that the idea was either, when I showed that PowerPoint and there was six-figure annual salaries, that was base pay.
And what
This-
were their budgets compared to ours?
But let me finish what I'm saying. There were six-figure base pays, and they went up to $500,000. Because of our budget, that's a lot of money. However, the council had already said that up to 125,000 was acceptable for base pay. So I left that alone. The only thing really that we are having a discussion about is the incentive part of it.
Correct.
And so the idea there, it came from me. Instead of putting it all in your base pay, then you keep the 125 as the base pay. So the salary wouldn't be 225,000. You have to earn it. So as the town earns, the CAO earns. So if you want your quarterly incentive, if I was a CAO, I work my butt off to get grants in for the town. And if you get grants in for the town, then you can get those things done in the town. And it's not money coming from our
So who's
budget.
going to administer the grants? If we're taking the administration fee But we're talking about taking the administration fee of that grant and giving it to the CAO, correct? So then who's gonna administer the grant?
Randy Singh's resume is all about grants. Grant administration and finance. One of the reasons I was comfortable in even thinking about that, because if you remember the conversation prior, was that I wanted us to have a grant administrator to make sure that our grants were properly administrated, so we don't run into the possibility of losing. Mr. Singh is highly capable of being a grant administrator. Plus more. And if, one more thing, and if I also add, in a letter of support that I did request, because if we want to know how other people see this appointment, one of the things that was stated, and this is from Mayor Jennings, from Byron Brooks, on behalf of Mayor Jennings and himself, they don't do letters of recommendation, but it did say that please know it is other things, but please know that he is held in high regards by this organization. And one of the key, he was a key contributor to the leadership team, especially providing helpful instruction and guidance in our fiscal activities. I mean, if the town needs one thing, is to make sure that we know what the health position is of our town financially. Once we know that, then we can lay a foundation for the future. It doesn't matter what our plans are. It doesn't matter how many boards or advisory boards or we put together. If we don't know some key elements of the nature of our town, then we're still just digging a hole.
So for my clarity, you're telling me that his merit bonus is only based off of the grants that come in, that's it?
That's all they can. I would not slap the town on the base pay. That's why it's not in the base pay. It will come from monies coming into the town.
So,
And I say through grant administration, but grants are just one way to get money into the town.
but have me walk through that. So we talking about that the administration of the grants still gonna have to go forward. Mr. Singh is not being brought forward just for grants. CAO, talking about public safety, talking about public works, we talking about administration, we talking about a wide variety of things. And almost everything you're saying about Mr. Singh makes him to be that finance person. Not a CAO, a finance person. Because if you really do, and everybody saying you look at his resume is on point for that head finance person and all that kind of stuff. Because do you see anywhere in there when it talks about public safety, public works, or anything like that?
Now, it doesn't specifically say that, but what it does say is that as the deputy county administrator, he did have to oversee approximately 2,000 employees. And we think about money, every single department has money. And if we think about our public works department, think about all the departments. If you get the budget in check, and if the work of the department meets the budget, then if your main person is a numbers person, the idea is that you oversee a model, you don't oversee people. And if you oversee the model, and if the model is guided by the budget, the finances, and you keep control of the finances, everything else works. That's just the basic business model. It's not the people, it's the model. Something breaks down, it's not it's in the flow.
Yeah, and you asked the question, could there be other matrix? There could be other matrix that could. So, but I hear you.
Yes, I was. One, talk about this position. Overall, all over Central Florida and other places around the United States. The main problem that most of the businesses are having is to have qualified people. And not only that, but having enough people to do the work that needs to be done. I am in favor, it's already happened, for the money to be moved from the contingency line. I understand that. Okay, the other issue as far as the salary for this particular person. I looked at his qualifications and I like his qualifications. I think they're very strong in finance. I don't really see a lot of strength and human resources, even though it's real annotated here. As far as his duties is concerned, I see him more of a finance person who is finance director of town. And in addition to this, as far as the $125,000 for his position, based upon his qualifications, okay, I'm speaking to here, he's really qualified for his qualifications for $125,000. But until he has to have a proven track record to earn up to, it didn't say 25,000, it says the individual will be able to earn up to $25,000 or up to. So that has to be negotiated some way. And I think until this person proves himself, you don't know exactly. A lot of people say they can do a lot of things. And then once they get in the position, they don't do it. So we don't want to be in that kind of position. And who is going to evaluate them? What type of performance evaluation that you want to have for this position?
Well, can we just hold up on the conversation? If the incentive is based on quantity, then that's that to me in a way that can't be subjective. It could be in other ways, but I mean that's one of the easiest things to do. You bring in the money, you get money. I mean those are numbers. So you bring in the numbers, then you get the numbers. Agree upon. The harder thing would be are the more subjective things. Is customer service improved? Are the persons doing business with the town? Are we getting back to them within 24 hours? That's more subjective. I think that would be fun. But if right now the incentive is based on income coming into the town, income that's being used to improve the different areas of the town, then that's something showing numbers. So we wouldn't even have to say a word. Either you did or you didn't. I'm sure it's not that simple, but.
And I hear you, but then you're telling, if my only incentive was for me to get that bonus was to concentrate on grants, I'm going to negate other areas and focus only on that. That's what I don't want to happen. I don't want them to be money driven only to go after grants because I know I'm going to get an extra $25,000. I need somebody that's going to be diverse and go around and make sure that the whole totality of the town is foreseen. So that's what my issue is. Like I said before, I have no problem paying $125,000. My problem comes into this merit. It comes down to merit. Now, we're willing to give this individual up to $25,000 a quarter, but for every day we negated in our employees that was already here. So we gotta be fair about it. I mean, if Mr. C really wants it, why can't he come in right now? 125. I may even be willing to push a little bit and go up a little bit. But to have $25,000 a quarter, I don't think that's reasonable, man, because I think that he's going to focus in on the grant part. Because I know if I get a $25,000 bonus, I go out and find grants all day long, and then everything else going to be followed by the white side. So what good is it to have all the money to still be falling apart?
So the conversation right now conversation right now in front of you, the first idea is where would the money come from? And I think that I found where the money comes from. But I, in no case, in no way, shape, or form, believe that that's the whole piece. It's just that that's the easiest way to be able to tell you or articulate where the money comes from. But there, it is not my intentions, nor should it be yours, to see that we falter on taking care of the citizens, their needs, and any outside agencies that are doing business with the town. That kind of would negate it. So if you want some sort of matrix, survey matrix, it doesn't, whatever you want in order to measure the service level, then we can put that in place. But this was mainly because I knew that the biggest obstacle would be where would the money come from? And that was the main thing.
So why can't we do the 125 and then put a stipulation in after 6 months, we can evaluate?
If I can just be honest with you, it to me, and you just go back to how we have been going along, chugging along. We have been too inconsistent to say, okay, well, we'll think about it in 6 months, we'll think about it in 3 months. In 3 months or 6 months, if y'all mad with me, they're like, nope, you're not gonna do it. I mean, I'm just hoping that we can be professional about this. If he deserves it, he deserves it. Let's put him in place and leave him alone. That's what I'm hoping, because we know that that's how it's been going.
And man, that's a two-way street, because if you're mad the same way, you want to do it that way. And the reason I'm saying this is because I did take time. I had almost an hour conversation with him, and it is based a lot on money. He said, if the right dollar amount comes along, who said he won't run again?
I mean, that would be for everyone. The lady that we interviewed, she left. And she didn't even come we interviewed her. We all came, well, I came to this room, and she left for money. I mean, but what I can say is in my conversations, he's already gotten those offers. But he knows this town, he's known it for 20+ years. And based on my conversations with him, number one, he doesn't want to be like that. And number two, he does want to come in and render services to the town. And he has shown that he has those services to him.
What three references did you obtain?
So I have two, Mayor Demings, and when I say references, we call it Mayor Demings and Myron Brooks. I have Ann Dawkins, she's right down the street. Michelle Ford, I mean, both of them know him in their working environment. Mrs. Gibson, sorry, Mrs. Gibson. I mean, I can't think of any better references. We're the people we don't bother people.
All these other documents and services and departments that we have with the town. All of our policies, like I said, all of our policies, everything. And I haven't heard anything as far as those fees, but I see a lot as far as finance. And I know people may say that dollar is not everything, but in a lot of cases, money is a lot of things, a lot, because if you don't have money, you get money. But I'd like to see more emphasis also put on these other responsibilities other than just dollars.
President Dr. that's a 6 month probation period. We're talking about 90 days, once we take 90 days, 6 months, you got to do this. Right, one system said, give it, you give it. You don't hear it, you don't give it. Look at it that way. You don't reach, whatever, it's fine, the same money. But take 6 month probation period, I mean,
Yeah, but in that 6 months, the only person by charter can get rid of him, so.
if she feel like reaching those goals, I think she will see that. I think we all will see that. That's what I'm saying. We see that. And what's our opinion then? If we don't like, we had the same conversation, maybe, or he did it, he brought better stuff to the time. And then we got something good.
But the fact that I brought it to you, this caliber, why would I turn around and I'm not gonna waste his time, nor would I waste ours. But something that I did wrong on was to make it better. You make it better by getting the best people. Even if we did a statewide, nationwide search, your resumes won't be as clean as this, and someone that knows what they're getting into. And in regards to finance, I dwell on the finance more. When we look at his resume, the first word that comes out of each section, it says manage. And if you can manage the processes and the flows in departments, then that's what you need. You said something about human resources, which he does, risk management, human resources, he does have backgrounds in that, but we have other ways of dealing with the human resource aspect. We have we can even look at, contracting that portion out. But some of those things that, we don't have to, if it's just to process someone coming in. I think that's easy enough to work that out.
I'll be willing to negotiate time expenses. It says up to $45. Himself up to that, and that's it. It may not be $45, but the rest. And we'll see how it goes for the next year. See how it goes, because I don't want to argue ourselves to that figure, knowing that he has not delivered. But knows the town, say he knows the town, he should be aware that this is a town of 2,500 people. We don't have $10 million or $20 million budget like some other towns. But we can progressively just do it in a progressive way and get it up to where we maybe want to do based upon this job performance. Is what he can do for us. I think there's more out there.
Right, and the both, the city, that both won't come to that, that's it.
Structure in 6 months.
That's it.
Whatever anything, but we need to.
But then there's nothing to pay.
So,
You won't lose it.
so if we get to this,
If there's no, the money that this is paid for is money that has to come into the town. So if that money doesn't come in, then we have nothing to pay.
So it can't be.
If that's what you want, that's fine, and that would be fair, because the one grant that's here was already here. It wasn't because of any effort of his. And if we're looking at 6 months, then what I would say though, because the $5.9 million grant is not coming in, that is going to require administrative.
But he didn't write it, so that's my point.
No, but he will be taking care of the administration. of it. So, but again, that's up to the council if you don't want. But they are coming in, that's where I said that the money will come from, because we don't have to pay for it.
But 5.9 is reimbursed, but 5.9 is reimbursed for also, correct? So that's how I'm getting it. Right.
Right.
Okay, so. And just, this should be, I'm just like try to work through my head. So you're saying that you're willing to give him 10 to 15% of the grants that come in, right? Depending on the administration, right?
So I'm not gonna say 10, 15. It depends on, right, what the administration fee is, but also what the agreement is. So
What you doing?
what we're saying we're gonna pay.
Right, and that's my point. So it's not articulated inside of the resolution. It don't say a percentage on it.
It grants may have different,
No,
because,
and I know,
okay,
but just follow what I'm
Okay.
saying. So we're talking about 10 to 15% that administration fee may be given, right? Per grant.
can't we like change it?
Okay, well, just give me your numbers then.
Well, go ahead and finish, go ahead.
Okay, so if a grant has administration fee of 10 to 15%, we're gonna save $100,000. We're gonna keep it $100,000. We're gonna say it's 10% that can be administration. That means $10,000.
Okay,
So we're saying that he'll be entitled to that $10,000 from that grant to go towards the bonus, correct?
correct.
Yeah, but because I don't have a rate on it.
Well, the town is making the money from the grant itself.
The grant-
Oh, you just,
Right, the grant has a certain portion of it that is available for administration.
right,
It's not all.
right.
Right, so it's right, that's what I'm saying. So to say the administration cost is 10% of the 100,000, right?
Okay,
That's $10,000.
yes,
You're saying that he will be entitled to that 10,000 to go towards his
quarterly.
quarterly bonus.
Yes. Because we don't have to pay a grant administrator.
But I mean, he's gonna stay focused, because when you start looking at grants, I mean, he's gonna stay focused on those grants. So I'm trying to say, and I think that's maybe what Councilman Washington is going, that it needs to be a percentage of that administration fee. Is that what you're trying to say, Councilman Washington?
Should be split as
And I'm saying that if you bring in $1 million, that we get $1 million, you get 10,000.
No, that's because 10% is $100,000.
I mean, I'm saying, I'm sorry, I'm using $1 million. No, what I am saying is the fact that we're receiving the grant monies, if it's targeted for use in the town, and it's not coming from our ad valorem taxes and other revenue, then we are achieving goals in the town. That's the income that the town gets. That is what I'm saying. Are there any other comments?
Would it be out of line to table this and have just one special session, Mr. Singh to come in front of us?
I mean, I know it's your goal, but this is the,
I'm trying to go with happy meeting. Is it reasonable to table this, call a special meeting, have Mr. Singh come in front of us and we talk through this? That's a part of the negotiation to, maybe we can come to a happy meeting.
so if we're coming to a happy medium, then would it also be possible that we confirm this appointment if he agrees to the terms and then he comes in, so we agree to this part, the incentive.
So what you, so
We
hold on.
still have 6 months.
So what you telling me is confirm the 125, and then we come back and talk about the merit part later on? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
So-
Yeah, nothing's
no,
gonna happen
no.
until 6 months anyway.
But I just want to make sure, but I mean, we'll take the merit part out, confirm it for the 125, and then we can come in and we can discuss. Because like y'all keep saying in 6 months, so in 6 months, he can decide he wants to stay and go when he comes in and talk to us, and then we can move forward.
Can we at least consider adjusting the amount?
I'm not in favor of that. I believe that I think it should come to help first. We don't want to go and hire someone, we want to go back and certify and go back through the process. We need to confirm, make sure that whatever we have to offer, that he's going to accept that, we want to meet and do what we talk about. I think it's down to make that decision. We have the right to make that decision. And we're not meeting their expectations. So we have to be a 50-50 talk to us. We're assess exactly what we feel will be fair up front. And if he wants it from there, we hears, if not, we have to list for other companies.
So we can't approve pending incentive pay. I'm just trying not to come back because of how things have gone. Now, if he
How
says,
you propose that?
just like that, if he says no to that, then it's no. But if you have 6 months, at least right now tonight, I can get a confirmation of someone that is highly qualified, pending the 6 months. That way he can negotiate with you on his own of what he's worth, and I don't have to do it. But at least we get a confirmation, we do right by the town. And then you can come back and negotiate that part pending the end of his 6 month period.
So you're saying, and attorney, help me work this right. So you're saying at the end of the 6 months, then we will discuss merit link.
I
So
think-
basically right now, for these 6 months, he's coming in at 125. And then we'll discuss the merit part at the end of the 6 months.
What I'm saying is that right now, and it is, but I just have to say, what I'm saying that right now, this council will approve the hiring of Mr. Singh with a base pay of $125,000. So that I would say that by the 5th month, we determine the incentive portion, pending the incentive portion of his pay. So that by the 6th month, we can make a decision. So we just do it 30 minutes prior, 30 days prior to the sixth month. At least you have a 30-day negotiation. Please keep this, hold your comments.
Has he had an interview? Has he had an interview?
You can't school us.
Yeah, but I want to know the interview.
I got
It was- I mean, everyone.
I didn't interview about it. That's a quarter of $1 million.
We can test that on the thing.
So, and I think we're saying that if it's a 6 month probationary, I just don't want to be that merit clause in there, because attorney, if it's left in there, then it's gonna be forceful.
Right, I would consider it to automatically enact. If they continue to work. for 6 months out of it.
So everyone else has been talking. I say the same thing. If he's base pay is 125, you gotta stay over without the merit part. That's why I didn't interview him, because I thought that was, I met with finance state to ask that question. You know, could we do it? We got interrupted, but I had my mind made up anyway. Base pay 125, state come in and according to the mayor change the history of Eatonville, then come on in and do it. And we can go from there. That's me.
Not what this would be changed, but this would say, future. Oh, you want to say this?
We have, we want to say this special.
All right. So it's been moved in second.
We haven't.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, I don't. The,
The motion was for approval, or without change. And then, Councilman Daniel seconded with discussion. So it's now
With the merit part in.
I'm sorry.
With the merit part in.
As completely correct. Okay.
so there.
You can make an adjustment
So you
now.
want to adjust that?
I'm cool with letting come in for 125. Come to some kind of agreement. When it comes down to the merit.
Pending negotiations for the incentive portion within 6 months. That work? That part?
What would that do? Attorney?
Well, so I'm looking at the resolution now.
Okay,
So if you approve the resolution, subject to modification section 3 to provide that the town and CAO will negotiate in the next 6 months for a structure of the incentive pay. If that never occurs, then nothing happens. And it continues happening. And it could theoretically have a right to force it to the table. And if you aren't able to come to an agreement, maybe you leave. Or you decide to go that direction. But if he accepts this, then we understanding that there will be some kind of additional compensation, maybe, but it wouldn't be binding. This second 3 would not be binding on you.
So can I read this? Can I read it real quick with the modification? So section 3, the individual will be able to earn up to 25,000 per quarter additional beginning immediately on the end of the 6-month probation period, pending negotiations by the town.
But it's still saying that he's getting.
Right. Then you can do by the time.
Pending negotiations by the town, but then I'm trying to make it simple to make the modification.
I'm trying to think about it.
and the reason I'm pushing it this way is there's still some unknown. Like that percentage is huge to say 10 or 15%. I mean, all of it be gone. So that's why other things have to be worked out along the way.
One suggestion, a suggestion that I have, the individual will be able to earn additional compensation pending negotiation with the town within 6 months.
In the negotiation within.
Within 6 months with the town.
And I will agree with you, man. I don't think we should wait till 6 month mark. I think we should be looking at that probably around the 4-month mark. So about 120 days, 120, 150 days, we should be looking at then. I don't want to wait till it comes up to 100 to the 6 months and then say, okay, let's address it then. I think it has to be done prior to, because that's fair to him and that's fair to us.
Individual will be able to earn additional compensation in negotiations with the town beginning in the 4th month probation period. Funds will be, do I think the rest of the funds be transferred? Doesn't matter.
Maybe not,
Doesn't
maybe not. So so you just replace section 3 in its entirety so that you can shut up. And so now you would move to approve, or move to amend the resolution. Move to approve subject to the amendment. Replacing section 3 with that. Move to approve subject to
Okay, so I move to approve the resolution subject to the amendments made regarding the additional compensation. I withdraw the. Wait, hold on. One more.
You gotta withdraw first.
Withdraw the second.
I withdraw my second.
Council.
You said 6 months or 4 months?
It's a 6-month evaluation period. Okay. But we start negotiations the 4th month of that. All right, so the motion's on the floor to approve resolution 2022-664, amending section 3 to read, the individual will be able to earn additional compensation pending negotiations with the town beginning in the 4th month of probation. It's been moved and seconded.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Oh,
Opposed? Approved. Ms. Williams, did give a report. There's a new fence at the water tower that's being installed as part of the deal with AT&T. There's a car accident on King Boulevard. The driver swerved into the rig monument in front of Town Hall. The insurance claim to the town's insurance company, the driver's information and all that, has been taken care of. Dumpster closures, all town operated dumpsters should be enclosed within 45 days. Drive up mailbox is still in the works. Overby station is still in the works. All the debris, Hurricane Ian debris should be removed by the 14th, should be removed by yesterday. So if you have any debris, all the time. The town decals on the public works trucks will be fixed by the end of the week. Catalina has no parking signs in some troubled areas. After school program, since the damage to the Johnson Center is now, for right now, still being at the school. I think that the council has set the hires and also the current positions being advertised. Was the CAO, utility billing specialist position, records clerk, part-time fiscal coordinator, administrative assistant to public works, administrative permit clerk, and code enforcement officer. Some of those we do have applications for, that is the difference. Keep it there. Town attorney,
no.
Councilwoman.
Some people, and also, wake up. But these are 2 events, on Monday, school time, and, Tuesday, the people, at St. Lawrence, Mrs. Kim, will be cooking the food, and the food will be prepared for the Sunday. And we come in through Block Street and make a right on East Street. So that should be something that everybody put out. Okay, some of the other, very still do. So hopefully everyone has, I want to say that so far, what I have seen so far, for the storm, we probably, because we get pretty good on this last time. I think we can, that's the experience, we have a customer experience with the trash and street, on the street. Everyone just take a little pride and just go outside and run the house and make the stuff that's on the street in front of your house on the curb. Okay, also I wanted to know, when do we want to move forward with the last program? Where are we with that? When is that going to start? We start seeing some improvements in our water system. The decision, I'd like for, coming back in December, today, to see if we could, I've been working on, getting a gospel exposure on that Sunday, at the Life Center. And, so I'm going to be talking to, Bishop P. I had spoken to him about this before. I've been waiting on information. Also, they don't want to mention it in the meeting of the impact fees. I don't know, but I just was asking whether or not the county has the required study. Is that in place? That has been done in the past? It has been done in the past. So the study for impact fees.
There are different entities, so we different. Well, the main thing that I know we're working on right now, the wastewater, sewer and water is going for the final audit. And I think we found the pattern.
So no one is working on that portion.
We'll need the audit to finish, the audit is done. So it's
Okay. The one with that completed.
it should be like the next week or two.
Just, it's finished, it just needs to be met with the council before.
Okay, a lot of people are asking about the signs, the homes, something in the middle of the street, now for West people. I don't know what those signs are there. In the middle of the road. There's a pothole in the middle.
Where's the state? This way, they're gonna keep- This is out there. Yeah, it was the state. You just said 35, that's probably not the first. There's a cautionary.
Okay, also, I just want to get this for safety. He had yesterday on a bicycle, and I was able to get down. But make sure anyone is aware that make sure you tell your children that they're healthy. There's an individual that was riding a bike yesterday, and he basically ran into the car with that bike. So we're going to be very serious. But make sure when kids are out of school, make sure you tell your children or the other kids to make sure that they're safe. Also, I want to let everyone know that we do have a new bishop in our town. The services for Bishop was held on Saturday. The coordination and his coordination services were outstanding. And I'd like to commend him for his leadership in the town. And also I'd like to commend his wife, First Lady. I was provided by the town clerk, and I want to say that it was an awesome service. And I'm going to just say congratulations to the Life Center Church and also to Bishop and all of the officers for their dedication to their work, working for God. Other than that, I'm maybe we can just get together to address some of these other issues that, everyone is bringing up, so that way it doesn't look like it's coming to you and your voice is not being heard. So we want to make sure that everyone is the same and is treated with, treated with respect, and maybe we can get to the bottom of a lot of issues that we can pass. Kind of see and know, and also we have some other, vacancies as they feel. So we want to thank Mrs. Vaughn for taking the position at city, aid, and, want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Councilman.
Thank you. One thing that, things not fine is, we have a board member from the police, so they have a project. That's going down the road, that's very, very, very. They haven't been back to this board, but anyway. And I don't know how we down there with our hands, so they trying to beat a project. And we haven't. They haven't been to the board, to prove anything, we're no plans, we're no anything. The other project is saying, it came up with its own, this thing doesn't do. Even, I mean, this doesn't stop. It's got to stop. I don't know where you get the assignment, who's trying to what off, and whatever. You have to come here first to be approved. I want to make it simple, so I don't know what's going on down there. They need to be looked into, because like I said, when the board member sits on a thing, on board, kind of approve something, and they build something, that's stopping our pace up here. We're not holding this down. We're not just doing. We're not just doing. We never tried to go on and they haven't met. And you have the people to us to say, hey, this look, the changes was made. We're down there doing everything, putting water lines in, and I mean, just when I ride out there, I just get chipmunks. So I'm like, the touch. It's more true. I mean, it's like, we got to stop. So whoever would ever happen, we need to look into. Because they're just moving now. And like I said, this got to stop. Then we're going to come back and so
Councilman Davis.
Not too much. First, thank you for coming out. I had a resident today, at 420 Campus Street, it's not Frazier. She brought to my attention the water that's in front of her house that'll drain has water that's settled. And then also sitting there having a conversation with her. I haven't seen a street sweeper in a long time come through the town. That we used to have a mosquito come through and below. Haven't seen that. So it's just things like that needs to be followed up on. As Ms. Whitaker and other residents have said, the follow-up is the transparency. If people are asking for things, so the frustration that the residents are having, as a board member, I'm having the same frustrations. So when you all are asking me items, I can't give you answers because I can't get the same answers that you're asking. So that just has to change. Mayor, I've been asking about how is Ms. Williams, what line item Ms. Williams been paid out of, what job description. That has not been given to me yet. So Ms. King, I will send you another email tomorrow. And this will be my final attempt to remedy this problem this way. And then we'll go forward from there. I had a chance to talk to the auditor today, so I have both audits. I would love to have had audit before I got on the phone with her, but it was good to have a good conversation with her. We need to ensure that the audit is done in a reasonable manner. This was 2021. We need to go ahead and start 2022, the one that we just closed out. She said they're ready, but one of her biggest things is, and now I see it even more, is there's a delay in getting information. And this came out in the auditor's mind. There's a delay in getting information, and that's why the audit has been failed up. So we have to make sure we're adhering to it and make sure things are being posted. I think to eliminate a lot of issues, Mayor, I would love to see the directors. They don't have to get up to the podium. They can submit a report. And I'm not that kind of council person where you can surprise me and give it to me at the last minute. If you got reports, we should have reports, so then we don't have to sit there and go back and forth, asking questions and all that. We should be able to get reports and know what's going on, you know, what crimes been going on, what's going on in public works, what's going on in recreation. When we have those reports, I think it will make the transparency and make the meetings go a lot smoother. Just everybody just be safe for Thanksgiving. Continue to show compassion, continue to show love. We're in crucial times right now, and I think it's going to take a lot of transparency. I think it's going to take a lot of being able to show dignity and respect to whom all is given, and that's what I'm doing.
Good evening, everyone. Won't be before you long. I want to thank former Mayor Grant for getting up, stating that, because we have rules up here. And some of our residents got up, some of our former residents got up and said, oh, make a vote, say yes or no. But according to some of the rules, if you don't get a second, then it's not put on the floor. And if you don't hear us saying something, it's an automatic yes. That's some of the things that we learned up here as council people and going to for legal cities classes and other educational things that we've learned being council people. We can say it, and you do hear it. If it's a no, then you hear us say nay. So, you know, those little rules, and I thank the former mayor for getting up, pointing that out to people, because I wonder if I said it, how much credence or how much credit it would have been given. I also want to say that the Veterans Day program was canceled by the Legion Post 331 due to the hurricane. They were just afraid that the weather was going to be bad. So we just canceled everything. I prepared a tent because we've had weather difficulties before. So they knew I had a tent, but they were just saying it would be too much council. We'll do it next year. So that's why that was canceled. This goes out to the Public Works Director, Mr. English. Mr. Jenkins has said again that I think that's Calhoun right there on the right-hand side of Open Door. Trees and weeds are going into the street, and he was wondering whose responsibility is it? Is it Maitland's or Eatonville? So, you know, just consider this. I'm just asking you right now if you can just ride down there and take a look. Maybe it's Maitland's job to cut those trees back and bushes on the right-hand side of Oakville Missionary Baptist Church, or if it's our responsibility, maybe we can go ahead and get that taken care of. I've been here all my life in Eatonville, and one of the models that we used to have was progress through understanding. This is what you experienced tonight. Progress through understanding. We move forward by understanding and learning, like, what's hindering us? The only thing, everybody up here, if you ask them, we want a CAO. That's a no-brainer. We want somebody to handle the day-to-day operations when we're not here. The only problem we were having was the pay. That's it, just the pay. And you see how we sat up here and we worked it out. We can get it done. We don't need anybody to come in and be the savior of it. We're going to be the saviors of our little tenure here in town, and hopefully not derail it. And I think we can get it done. But it's progress through understanding. And it's 5 of us up here, so that means you got 5 different personalities there. I'm always a win-win type of person, just like Council Washington. I would have that discussion by some of the things that Councilwoman Randolph said. It can be a win-win situation, and we don't have to be able to go around the circle for 20 minutes. Let's find out how to make it work, guys. We're always striving to be the Black Wall Street. I wanted to start here with us. We have former administrations that didn't do it. Let's start now. Let's start now putting money aside that this administration can say that I took care of a little bit of our piping situation. You see that we have pipes breaking. It wasn't because of bad piping. We have someone down there digging this, and it's not our pipe's fault this time, but we do have breakage. But how about if we hold each administration accountable to do just a little bit so that at the end of our administration, we got a little bit done. We can do it. And I keep saying I believe in us, but it's progress through understanding. Understanding that we got to talk it out, just like we did. That you can ask, do you want us to be profitable and successful up here as a town? You ask anybody up here, we're going to say yes. How do we get there? I keep saying, we go to that light, let's go to Kennedy Park, go to that light, you got 3 options. Go straight, turn left, and turn right. I want us to go straight and take our time to get. We can, and we will do it. I want to thank those residents for coming up to me, and a lot of stuff I say, they don't understand until they talk to me, and they were saying, you know, you better than that, let it go. If they didn't find anything on you, then guess what? You can't do anything. So let it go. And my grandma always taught me to show respect. But once you disrespect me, then you're gonna get that back. So I'm not a big-hearted, big-spirited person at all. Treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect. And that's how my grandma taught me. I'm wearing this purple shirt for Epilepsy Month. It's Epilepsy Awareness Month. I work with a guy named Courtney Jones and his wife, Tanya. They have a daughter, her name is Callie, you know, it's Team Callie. To see what they go through, and you just want to know. You know, so I told them tonight I was gonna represent Callie, Epilepsy Month. And I just want y'all to have a great night and understand that through understanding, we will progress. Thank you.
I first just want to give my condolences. There's been a lot of high schools, locally, colleges, national. Mamas are losing the children. So let's just make sure we pray for them. Impact fees help reduce the economic burden. One of the things I have to say to Councilman Washington, when I first got on council, he started the impact fees. I started learning what do they do, and it does make sense. Impact fees. You know, earlier it was discussed, and it's okay about a discussion. It's not an argument. It's a difference of opinion that our rate is 7.293. That's our millage rate, but our property value is low. So it kind of balances out, because if you go over to Maitland and Winter Park, their property values are very high, so their millage rates are low. So it balances out. But what those impact fees do, in any version of them, the pass-through fee, I think, is going to save us a tremendous amount of money, so that we're not having to pay lawyers' fees for people that may or may not end up doing business with us in planning and zoning. You know, if they called us and we called the attorney, we get billed. But now if you want to do business, then you have to put some money on your books so we can pay the attorney. Those little things like that, those are impacts. So those are fees. So it's not just one type of fee, but we need to look at all the fees that this town can benefit from to mitigate the economic burden. So when I talk about impact fees, the affordable housing linkage fee is another fee that is when those developers build down there, they have to pay 50 cents for every square foot. It's like $200,000. And that can go to the citizens to help renovate homes or down payment assistance. However, we decide that the program has to be written, because this is a new program in the past 2 years. The November 1st food drive, at first, I was salty. And I'm being honest, I was salty. But it doesn't matter. I thank Councilwoman Randolph for initiating something that I won't. There was a tradition that every Tuesday before Thanksgiving, it's the mayor's turkey. It's my first year reading 2 storms. I think we did okay. I'm okay with someone else taking care of those turkeys. And I don't even eat turkey. But what I do want is to make certain that the town does represent and still do something in lieu of turkey. So since turkeys are going to be given out on the 21st, then the town, and I say the town, through the community partners, will be giving gift certificates. Because you might be getting the protein, but there might be other things that you might need to get. So that is definitely going to go to the turkey list, the seniors, you know, because we only get so many gift certificates. So please listen up with that information to the seniors, even if it means going door to door to those seniors that are on the list. If you are a senior and 55 is not a senior. 55 is not considered senior. So we are definitely looking at least 60 or above because we don't want to go over 300. I'm just letting you know. So, and that's to complement what's going to happen on Monday. Congratulations to Bishop King. Thank you, council, for meeting me where you know we need to be, where we need to be. Thank you. Enclave development, West Kennedy is one of the things I fussed about since I became mayor. So that's what I was fussing about. That's the project that never went through planning and zoning. That's the project that they were gonna give the town 125, but because the fees that the town would charge in the agreement says we can't charge it, so we're in the negative. That's the project that I was talking about. So I think at this point, because so much time has gone past that. Anyway, Ms. Whitaker, CRA. I already talked about impact fee, that first hearing. Once that first hearing, it didn't pass, it was there. So if it didn't pass that hearing, it died for lack of second desire. So but I'll answer your questions after. Can I answer after? Something.
I'm not talking about the.
Let me finish my report. And the 100 car issue that have to be discussed later. The meetings that I attend with Ms. NY Theory is through the PEC. She wanted to make sure in that first hearing for the Hungerford property, it was stated that the people wanted more time to find out about the Hungerford property. So through PEC, Ms. Theory set up those meetings. Those are the meetings that I've been doing. It's just specifically geared toward the Hungerford property and letting people know about that process, that whole process. That's what, so it's not countering anything going on. It is specifically for that. Thank you, Michelle Ford. Thank you, Anthony Grant. The $5 million grant, there's a process. Right now, that process, they're doing our procurement policy. So and that takes a little while. Some people have left. So that, and I just got that email, I think maybe last week, I'm not certain, that they'll be reviewing that this week. A street sweeper, we have discussed that with Mr. English in regards to with the street sweeper. So I don't know, we'll get back with you. Yes.
So you think that was okay to, you just said that we can't do nothing about when not we can put it forward. So you're saying,
I just didn't go
what
there.
I just think you're saying that it's cool for a company to do that. That's what I think you just said.
No, you didn't hear me say it was okay, but thank you for saying something because I did have a question. When we had the first hearing for we just had that variance hearing for the Tesla. One of the questions that Attorney Shepherd asked was there any interaction so that the vote is on the table? Right? And that was for a variance because, right, the Tesla was a zoning variance.
Is a special exception.
Special exception. So that's not the zoning variance, right?
It's similar, but it's slightly different. Like,
Okay.
and a variance is usually much harder, whereas a special exception.
Okay. Because that question was asked, and it is a question that should always be asked, the process that was taken, that question was not asked. And I think that March 1st vote, that question should have been asked.
So on any quasi judicial application, such as any land development application, like a special assignment, where the local government has to eventually issue an order approving, denying, or approving. In the case of the enclave, I can't recall off the top of my head what the process was before the development. So the development agreement. I'm sorry.
So here's
So
what I,
there was a development agreement in March that I think was approved.
right, but here's what I'm asking. He specifically asked about that question being asked. If that question has to be asked in a legal, and if it wasn't asked because of the process that project took, does it need it?
So what the question being what that
The
whether
question,
there was enough for download.
no, the question he asked was there any interaction? So I had to say that, yes, I toured the facility. So that they had all the information regarding my vote.
So did he say expert? Is this the ex parte communication portion?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. So basically that's for challenging, that's about challenging decisions. So if you, let's say the local government, let's say the town approved the reason, not the other, I'm just getting random
Right.
rezoning gets approved. Within 30 days, which is the required time frame to file a challenge, a citizen sues and says, you had a secret discussion with this, with the applicant. That somebody on the board, or all, let's say all members on the council, had a secret discussion with the developer that was not public. That was not made public. There's a presumption that impacted the proceedings where it can invalidate the. But if you disclose all ex parte communication during or as part of the hearing, then that presumption goes away. That's what that's about. And it only matters for 30 days after the decision is made, when there's the time to challenge. Once that time period has gone past, then there's nothing that it doesn't.
And I do not have my questions fast. Can citizens challenge any project, whether it's in the process, permits have been pulled? Can they challenge at any point in time?
It depends on the kind of challenge. At any point in time, there's a 30-day period to challenge most local government decisions. It's called a petition for reconsideration. That's the general way. Sorry for the technical term. That's what they call it. And that's generally 30 days. That's there's another statute that allows for comprehensive plan challenges. But it's not just any member of the public. It has to be somebody who's specifically affected in some way. So like a neighbor, something like that.
Right.
So you saying that project went for the go home? What you saying? Don't you saying everything is signed up on that? I mean, that's what I mean. That's what.
So the project that I came in, the permits have already been, some permits are issued. The only reason our current plan, is this okay to speak about this?
So the enclave is already approved,
Okay, so
and that's the
the only, what happened is those permits were done for the property, so when that had to go back and be permitted, which meant they had to give their plans. So that's the only way a look see was done.
So now to start over again.
And that it wasn't.
So if they start over, then we do. I mean, you didn't have original first, you can find no paperwork. That was from and perfect sign and but then it was we had no paperwork.
But see, Councilman, that's why I think it's key right now that we try to go the electronic fight right now. All these paper documents that scarcely disappear and all that. If we had something electronic, I mean, it's tangible, it can be in a service, so they can always find those documents. So I don't know why we continue to still do all these things with people problems.
But they need to follow the right process, God, people,
Okay, you just bear with this.
come on. I mean, close it open.
Okay.
So can you adjourn to be this call?
So, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and adjourn, and I will stay and speak. So I move that we adjourn. We'll get a second, okay?
So here's the question. The question is, the application for the special use section from, Mr. Clay Spears.
Wait, I'm
I
sorry.
think probably wait till some of us leave out, because then it's like we have another meeting with us inside of that.
I thought you were gonna ask about.
But that's the question she's talking about.
Oh, yes. No, no offense, but I was like, oh, myself, I.
Okay, she mad with me.
But I can't.
Okay, but you can't talk about it.